Welcome to CoSM July Full Moon Ceremony. This is the 232nd consecutive full moon celebration at CoSM, an unbroken chain since January 2003, when we invited a small circle of friends to our home in Brooklyn, spiritually resonant partners devoted to the possibility of building with us a sacred space to honor personal contact with divinity. Many of those who attended the first full moon are still friends today as we prepare to open Entheon, the sanctuary of visionary art at CoSM in Hudson Valley of New York. The number 232 might shed light on an intention for this full moon. 2 plus 3 plus 2 equals 7. Number 7 is represented by the heptagram, the 7-pointed star, a symbol of the angel with 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, plus 2 wings. Happy birthday to anyone on this full moon as we enter the zodiac realm of Leo, a fire sign ruled by the sun. Both of our mothers were Leos. The astrological sign Leo, associated with the lion constellation, is metaphysically represented by spirited fire. It is a sign of royalty, kings and queens of the celestial jungle, vivacious and passionate. Now, tell us, Alex, why do we celebrate the full moon? And talk to us about the theme for tonight, sacred geometry.
Well, the full moon is a perfect circle of soft light against the infinite starry backdrop of the night. We each feel a personal connection with this giant luminous orb. The full moon is the high tide of the spirit. And when we gaze at it, we're pulled out of our everyday thoughts and return to wonder. Because of the influence of the lunar cycle on our reproductive systems, the tides and agricultural seasons, for thousands of years, communities have gathered to honor and celebrate each cycle. Spiritually and symbolically, the full moon is actually a reflecting surface, mirroring the greater light of the sun, just as each of us is a sacred mirror, reflecting the greater light of God. Our soul naturally resonates with the circular, spherical moon, and we might wonder why that is. Sacred geometry is the study of mathematical principles and proportion at work in the forms of nature and art, and contemplating their symbolic meaning. Each number from 1 to 10 can be thought of as a corresponding shape, with the number 1 as a circle or a sphere. Plato declared the sphere to be the most perfect shape because of the equidistance from the center to the surface. A symbol of wholeness and perfection is synonymous with spirit. God is a circle whose circumference is boundless and whose center is everywhere. The earth is round. The eye is round. We see through a pupil that dilates or contracts, letting in more or less light, helping us see clearly, adjusting to whatever conditions arise. This well-rounded worldview is probably why we respond so deeply to the circular mandala in sacred art traditions. The center-focused composition is a symbol of the soul. The practice of creating mandalas in any medium may help restore our inner psychic balance. I've found this to be true. Drawing sacred geometric figures with a compass and straight edge, we bring our attention to one-pointedness and discover correspondences between the one and the many. One of the greatest teachers of sacred geometry was the late Keith Critchlow, architect, artist, author, and beloved advisor to the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. One of the first things Keith noted in his classes was the symbolic meaning of each shape, like the circle is the spirit. Then he explained the square represents matter, the physical world of forms. Connecting these two worlds of matter and spirit is the mind, symbolized by a triangle. Then he noted how these three shapes are remixed constantly in sacred architecture. A rectangular box-like room feels differently from a domed space. And using the doorway as an example, a squared-off opening stays rooted in the material plane. A half-circle arch on top symbolically brings heaven to earth. And a Gothic arch adds an upward-pointing triangular influence of the mind on the dome of heaven. The Gothic arch thus becomes a composite of the shapes of body, mind, and spirit. The pointed arch is a major component of mosques as well, which is the actual source of inspiration for cathedral architecture. Some years ago, we went to Granada, Spain, and studied a masterpiece of Islamic architecture, the Alhambra, with Keith. This was the place that M.C. Escher said was his greatest influence. The Alhambra is a place of profound beauty that Keith helped us explore. The complex geometries of the Alhambra visually demonstrate how spirit can be symbolized in infinite patterns of interconnectedness. Keith wrote one of the definitive texts on Islamic pattern making. Keith also analyzed the underlying geometric structure of flowers in his last book, a masterpiece that examines the mysterious shapes of petals and number of petals for dozens of flowers and plants that surround us and bring our lives beauty. Photographing the faces of flowers and plants, I've been counting their petals and noting resonant shapes recurring within their faces. Like in a three-leaf clover, there's another triangular pattern within the leaves. Artists study and appreciate what makes things beautiful. Are there blueprints of beauty that our unconscious knows before our conscious mind recognizes and describes them? This was the premise of an experiment performed by brain researchers in Italy who published the results in 2007. The brain apparently responds strongly to beauty in the right amygdala and insula region. Only artworks that displayed the golden ratio elicited such a response from the brain. Ancient artists and architects of Egypt and Greece were familiar with the golden ratio, and its secrets have been passed along from one artist guild to another. At times, the mysteries of sacred geometry seemed lost to antiquity, but then devoted observers of nature's harmonic system of proportions rediscover these once esoteric codes. The golden ratio is the proportion of 1 to 1.618, the lesser and the greater. We find this magical proportion displayed throughout the human body, like in the phalanges of our fingers. If you imagine the body as one line, the navel is at the golden ratio, also called the golden cut. Renowned sacred geometer Father Desiderius Lenz, a 19th century German artist who became a Benedictine monk and co-founder of the Boiron Art School. He believed that devoted artists should work together in community to create a sacred art in a committed, spiritual environment. Father Desiderius had measured the statuary of Egypt and Greece, and he came up with an ideal proportion for the human figure, which he used in his church murals. For the doors of Entheon and CoSM, and for a painting of a face, I adapted this grid for design. Lenz differentiated the male and female geometries by embedding the golden ratio in the divine feminine. Each sacred tradition that permits depiction of the figure has its canons of proportion and geometries of humanity and the gods. Since getting my golden ratio calipers, I've been measuring a lot of things. It's fun to look at a painting or statue that you love and then use a golden ratio caliper to analyze the composition. Michelangelo definitely knew about this because he had studied Greek statuary and wished to infuse the classic proportions and idealist wisdom of the ancients with the Gothic spirit of his times. Renaissance translations of the Neoplatonists opened fresh avenues of philosophical perspective beyond Christianity. Analyzing one of my favorite Michelangelo drawings, The Dream, the golden ratio seems to focus the viewer at the most important points. His famous Sistine Chapel fresco, where God gives the spark of life to Adam, the place where their fingers nearly meet, is the golden ratio. In many of my own works, I've applied the golden ratio. In The Light Worker, the heart and the eye correspond to the position of the lesser and greater quantities of the picture plane. In the painting God Self, the three eyes are each located at the golden cut. Understanding and integrating the compositional strategies of the masters is one of the ways we can improve our work. The call of the artist is to enhance and highlight the beautiful, which is ultimately beyond measure. The philosopher Friedrich Schelling believed nothing is a work of art which does not display an infinite, either directly or at least by reflection. The infinite, finitely displayed, is beauty.
Greetings, friends and global family. Welcome to CoSM's July full moon ceremony. Tuning in for the first time, let me catch you up. Each month, CoSM features a lineup of unique offerings by Alex, Allyson, and creative friends from the community. Tonight's smorgasbord of art, wisdom, and poetry is sure to recharge the soul. So let's get started. From Asheville, North Carolina, Buddhist monks share a time-lapse of their Tibetan sand mandala. Thank you, Urban Dharma and filmmaker Taylor Clark Johnson. Fun fact, 2 days after completion, the mandala was deconstructed and the sand was poured into the French Broad River as an offering to the world. Pretty incredible. Learn more about this award-winning short film and all of tonight's creatives by checking out the links below. Time to enter hyperspace, spark one up, and expand into Ali Seiffouri's digital universe. Much love, Ali Seiffouri, for that unforgettable digital reel. Time to eat some fruit and get back to Earth, am I right? Let's make it happen. Permaculture expert Dr. Delvin Solkinson is here, ready to share this month's visionary design practice on pattern literacy. Let's check it out.
Eleusinian mystery initiate Epictetus saw philosophy as a way of life and not just a theoretical discipline. In 80 AD, he said, "Now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. Put your principles into practice. The sooner you set yourself to your spiritual program, the happier you will be. From this instant on, separate yourself from the mob. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now." I heard this call in my own way. After a decade of commuting from my tiny rainforest village in British Columbia to volunteer at CoSM, I came here to live and work beside my beloved wife, Grace. On the full moon, I remember and honor my ancestors from Scotland, England, and the Ukraine. Where do you live now? And where did your ancestors live? Share in the chat or comments. permaculture design offers a visionary perspective on the sacred geometrical world of nature. Part of the secret to nature's success comes from a repeating set of patterns designed to play effective functions. These patterns appear at all scales throughout the universe. They're part of nature's design language. Studying these patterns can teach us how to become better designers. To practice cultivating pattern literacy, I invite those of you with a notebook or art supplies to draw any of the patterns mentioned. Consider natural objects or technological devices that harness the power of these sacred source patterns. I want to acknowledge my treasured teachers, Toby Hemingway and Kimchi, for informing this permaculture understanding. Seen in spinning galaxies, planetary weather systems, spirals support growth and movement. They can enable objects to move against gravity. Spirals concentrate or disperse, speeding up or slowing down flow, depending on which direction the spiral is moving. The corkscrew technology utilizes this pattern well. Walking the labyrinth at CoSM with intention, the pilgrim spirals into the center, then back out again. Seen in the network of streams and rivers in a watershed, arms of a tree, and veins in the human body, branches enable the effective collection and distribution of materials and resources. Branches provide an efficient way to reach many points in an area while traveling the shortest distance. Well-designed road and subway systems utilize the branching pattern. At CoSM, the branching arches in the Sacred Mirrors room provide a beautiful and functional cathedral roof. Seen in cosmic clouds, nuclear explosions, mushrooms, trees, and plants, Overbeck jets enable the natural streaming of gases and fluids past objects or forms, generating vortexes and spirals. We can embody this pattern when we stretch out like Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Give it a try. Observing whirlpools and mountain streams inspired the invention of flow forms, which utilize this pattern to vortex, cleanse, purify, and oxygenate water. At CoSM, you can find the Overbeck jet shape in the art of Alex and Allyson when they depict toroidal fountains and drains of self-illuminating love energy. Seen in cosmic superclusters of galaxies, artful homes of spiders, and synapses in the brain, webs form a resilient system made of nodes and links. If some nodes or links are broken, the web still functions. Webs conserve space, resources, time, and energy. They're effective for collection and filtering. Water filters are made with fine webs of material that let water through while capturing sediment. All feeding relationships, social relationships, and nutrient cycles are networks. For example, bees are links in a global network where flowering trees and plants are nodes. The CoSM global community is organized in a network pattern. Each of us are nodes linked by this broadcast, by social media, and by having interacted at events with Alex and Allyson at CoSM or anywhere in the world. A member of CoSM is a stronger node in the community network. Membership benefits include meeting with Alex and Allyson to make art along with other CoSM members at the virtual Art Church Members Circle, held now on Zoom each month. Members receive a copy of the most recent CoSM Journal of Visionary Culture. Strengthen our community visionary network. Be a stand with CoSM by becoming a member. Cultivating pattern literacy about the sacred geometrical nature of the universe can help connect us to a higher order of possibility in our creative lives. I will end with this quote by the beloved visionary astronomer Carl Sagan. We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still. We have lingered long enough on the shores of the cosmic ocean. We are ready at last to set sail for the stars. Have an awesome full moon, everyone.
Dr. Delvin Solkinson has spent over a decade creating curriculum, making media, and crafting free, open source learning and teaching tools in permaculture education. Support his Permaculture Design Deck Kickstarter, a 260 card set sharing ecological design principles, strategies, tools, and frameworks. Visit visionarypermaculture.com to learn more. Continuing on this earthly plane, Caro Arevalo is up next in the queue with a mural time-lapse themed around one of my favorite elements, water.
I thank the essence of water for purifying me, for teaching me how to ride the tides, for letting my creativity flow and stumble upon my own reflection during serene times. I thank the essence of water.
Water is life. Beautifully done, Caro Arevalo. Interested in learning more about Caro and her creative process? Be sure to check out her interview on the CoSM podcast when you visit our YouTube channel. Time to hand it over to Allyson Grey for this month's Parsha poetry.
Sacred geometry is math's visual boundless. The mind sees patterns in the world all around us. Sacred geometry gives mystical meanings to shapes and proportions observed by human beings. The geometer of the universe is God, some may say. Hidden principles can light your artistic way. Architecture of a mosque, a pagoda, or a temple are embedded with sacred geometry. It's not accidental. God geometrizes continually, said Plato to Plutarch. Their ancient Greek principles have long left their mark. From ancient Iran to medieval cathedrals, from Himalayan shrines back to caves primeval, geometry has often been regarded as holy, appearing at sites of sacred ceremony. Mandalas and yantras, artistically applied, decorate temples and shrines far and wide. Pyramids in Egypt, the Colosseum in Rome, embedded in a synagogue or in a catacomb. Creators of Chartres Cathedral in France first studied Muslim mosques, planning sacred G in advance. These shapes in nature are observed in many a form. Patterns in plants are a constant norm. Chambered nautilus spirals grow at a constant rate to accommodate expansion without changing shape. Honeybees construct hexagons to hold their yield. The cross-section of a bee's eye is a hexagon field. The significance of geometric shapes are assigned, their character analyzed and considerably defined. The circle is a figure with only one side, the spirit of wholeness, the universe wide. Vesica Pisces has two sides on one plane, the shape of the doorway out our mothers we came. With three sides, the triangle has a firm ground and points upward toward heaven, where we are all bound. The four-sided square is a human-made figure. Grounded and boxy, the buildings grow bigger. The five-sided pentagram represents woman or man, two arms, two legs, and a head with an upright stand. The six-sided hexagon is associated with bees, practical community builders that fulfill many needs. The symbol of angels is the seven-pointed star, with wings of a holy one from heaven afar. The sacred octagon stands for rebirth and transition. Baptismal fonts feature them, referring to resurrection. The Enneagram is the nine-pointed shape. The Baha'i embrace this symbol as a principle of their faith. The number 10 conveys perfection sublime. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10 every time. 10 is multiplicity from unity arising. 10 fingers, 10 toes, 10 sacredness is not surprising. From God to Moses, the 10 commandments were brought. 10 basic precepts offering much food for thought. 10 commandments are recited in the Parsha this week. V'achanan means, and I pleaded, a phrase that sounds bleak. The closing message from Moses began with that thread. Would he enter the promised land? No, God had said. The Israelite slaves were of Moses' generation. It was their children's destiny to start a new nation. God told Moses his peers would die first. Their heirs would settle the land of their ancestors' birth. The people wandered the desert for 40 years after Moses brought the commandments for everyone's ears. In this week's Parsha, Moses again does recite them, intending these mitzvot to inspire and unite them. 1, God said, give up idolatry. Worship one God only, no gods before me. 2, no graven images. The commandment is clear. No likeness of God should ever appear. 3, don't utter God's name in a negative fashion. Speak only of Creator with devotion and passion. 4, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Choose a day to reflect, to learn, and take slowly. 5, honor thy parents for giving you life. We are all flawed, forgive them, and let go of strife. 6, don't murder, a broad-reaching command. Killing the innocent is wrong in every land. 7, don't commit adultery. It destroys loyalty and trust. Avoiding betrayal is an honorable must. 8, avoid all desire for your neighbor's spouse and sow seeds of contentment inside your own house. 9, don't tell lies about your neighbor. Folks would lose faith in you and you may need a favor. 10, avoid all desire for the belongings of others. Envy, greed, and jealousy are ugly emotional colors. The commandments were brought by Moses from Mount Sinai, gifts of the Almighty through a prophet and a rabbi. Why these ones were chosen is up for debate. Prayer is not commanded. No prohibition against hate. These 10 sacred and universal laws are as relevant a conversation now as ever there was. The watchword of the faith is how this Parsha ends. The number one prayer for all Jewish friends. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, God is one, our Almighty God. Throughout the month, friends from around the world have sent their personal blessings and declarations to be acknowledged and collectively sent by fire to the heavens. Blessings to everyone who sent in those blessings and declarations, and here are a few examples.
Sammy from Colorado makes this declaration. I will expand into my purest love and open myself to all possibilities for growth and abundance, benefiting all.
Amber from Florida sends a blessing. Blessings for the home. May everyone's home be a safe haven, a place that allows us to become the highest version of ourselves with a strong sense of belonging and purpose.
And Barbara from Cuba says, I humbly declare to the all-loving universe that the beautiful island of Cuba be touched by the grace of the Creator and create a ripple of love, freedom, and compassion. May all of the earth and all beings be graced with such love. And so it is.
Eve from Florida sends a blessing. Sending the highest love and blessings to all mothers, fathers, and children. May we all walk in the highest light together forever. Alex is going to take all these wonderful blessings and decorations and roll them up and put them in.
Right, and may all these blessings and declarations come true. Many of us tonight have loved ones, maybe even ourselves, who may be suffering distress in body or mind. At CoSM full moon, we turn inside and hold in our heart those that might benefit from a healing prayer. To strengthen this blessing, you can speak the name of your loved one into your space as we pray. Great Spirit, thank you for blessing us with this day and for our precious body and soul. We feel the light of Spirit shining in our hearts. As we breathe, a glow expands to surround us like a luminous sphere. The brightness in our hearts magnifies as we join together in a gleaming web with countless others around the world, a luminous net of beings. From the superabundance of our combined energy field, we envision rays of healing light surrounding and protecting our friends and family in need. May the light shine on all who need healing. Let peace and harmony reign across the earth. May the water, air, earth, and fire be strong and resilient. Thank you, Great Spirit.
On the full moon, we remember our loved ones who've transitioned to the spirit world, and we invite their memory into this ceremony to honor them. To evoke their memory, you can speak their name into the space as we offer this recitation.
At the sunrise and at the sunset, we remember them.
At the sound of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them.
At the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
At the deep blue sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them.
At the rustling of leaves in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year and when the year ends, we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we are filled with joy we crave to share, we remember them.
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them.
When we have achievements that are based on theirs, we remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them.
Open up the broken cup. Let goodly sin and sunshine in. Yes, that's today. Lyrics by Nick Drake. Many blessings and prayers of healing to you and your loved ones. How are you keeping up with the things in life that bring you joy and confidence? Comment below. Team CoSM has been busier than ever, preparing with all of our might to emerge from our chrysalis with grace and ease when the town inspectors have granted Entheon a certificate of occupancy. Thank you to all our supporters and friends who back the future of this radically welcoming art church by choosing CoSM Shop for art, apparel, and spiritual creative gifts. Huge shout out to our building, grounds, and maintenance crew that continue to beautify and improve CoSM structures and grounds as we prepare to again invite visitors. Word on the street, CoSM members are invited to a barbecue in late August. Become a member today and be in the know. As we spin and weave around each new experience, may we recognize the holy gift and celebrate this chance to be alive and breathing. Believe it or not, the universe is conspiring in our favor. All we have to do is fall in love with who we are and the strange magic we have yet to discover. Seems pretty simple, right? Good luck. You got this. Happy full moon, and thanks for watching. Back to you, Alex and Allyson.
Dedication to love. From the core of our hearts, we dedicate ourselves to the complete and full expression of love in all our activities and in all our relationships.
Love is the soul's medicine, a refuge in our hearts, protecting us from utter despair. Finding compassion in the eyes of the beloved and the stranger gives us the courage to endure.
May love sensitize us with care and wisdom. May love help heal the sickness and wounds of life. May love enable us to forgive and accept ourselves.
May love enable us to forgive and accept each other. May love help us overcome our cruelty and bitterness, our greed and jealousy, our ignorance and delusion.
May love rule our hearts and minds, directing us to reach out, doing our best to benefit others, to heal suffering, to give gifts, to create beauty in the infinite network that is our world.
A heart of loving kindness pours creative grace into the world. To alleviate pain and mend the heart net. To the healing art of love, we dedicate ourselves.
May any merit generated by this gathering be offered to the benefit and liberation of all beings. Happy full moon!